The massive crystal dome of the Galactic Council's entertainment center glowed with soft blue light as thousands of alien beings settled into their seats. Tonight was the monthly comedy showcase, where different species shared amusing discoveries. From primitive worlds across the galaxy, the air hummed with excitement and anticipation. Representative Claxmore slithered onto the central platform, his purple tentacles writhing with barely contained mirth. His species, the tentacled Dominion, had been observing Earth for decades, and their reports never failed to entertain the Council. Honored beings, Claxmore announced, his voice translator crackling with static. Tonight I present our latest findings from the third planet of the Sol System. Designation Comedy World number 47891. The holographic display flickered to life, showing a group of humans standing around a swimming pool. They appeared to be engaged in heated debate, gesturing wildly at the water. These creatures, Claxmore explained with obvious amusement, are currently arguing about whether water is wet. They have been discussing this topic for several of their time cycles, with no resolution in sight. Laughter rippled through the audience. The crystalline beings of the Silicon Collective chimed like wind bells, while the gaseous nebula folk created swirling patterns of color that indicated their amusement. The display shifted to show humans in what appeared to be an art gallery, staring reverently at a sculpture made entirely of discarded metal and plastic. Refuse the price tag, read 2.3 million Earth credits. They take their waste products, Claxmore continued, his tentacles quivering with glee, arrange them in random patterns, and declare it profound artistic expression. Other humans then pay enormous sums to possess these garbage arrangements. The insectoid delegate from the hive cluster clicked forward on 6 legs, her compound eyes gleaming. If I may add to our friend's presentation, she buzzed, we have observed even more fascinating contradictions. New images appeared showing human hospitals where doctors worked tirelessly to save lives, immediately followed by footage of military factories producing weapons of destruction. Observe their remarkable inconsistency, the insectoid continued. In one building, they dedicate themselves to healing and preserving life. In the next building, they create devices specifically designed to end life. They simultaneously cure diseases while inventing new ways to kill each other. The audience's amusement grew louder. A blob-like creature from the gelatinous confederacy wobbled with laughter, sending ripples across its translucent surface. The hologram changed again, displaying a map of Earth with various colored sections and boundaries. Perhaps most amusing of all, the insectoid delegate added, they divide their single planet into invisible territories marked by imaginary lines. They call these countries and regularly engage in violent conflicts to defend or expand these non-existent boundaries. They will die for lines that exist only in their collective imagination. Claxmore gestured with 3 tentacles, bringing up footage of humans in various emotional states. Their behavior patterns remain completely unpredictable. They claim to value logic and reason, yet make most decisions based on feelings. They speak constantly of unity and cooperation while remaining divided by the smallest differences in appearance, belief, or opinion. The display showed humans arguing over whether a particular garment appeared blue and black or white and gold. The debate had apparently consumed their global communication networks for days. They possess remarkable intelligence, continued the insectoid delegate, capable of complex mathematics and scientific discovery, yet they spend equal time debating whether small images on their communication devices adequately represent their emotional states. The footage shifted to show humans taking photographs of their food before eating it, spending more time documenting their meals than consuming them. High Chancellor Vextal, a being of pure energy contained within a mechanical suit, floated forward. His voice resonated through the chamber with authority. These observations confirm our long-standing assessment, he announced. Species classification, primitive comedy world number 47891 remains accurate. They pose no threat to galactic civilization and provide endless entertainment value through their contradictory nature. The audience erupted in approval. Beings throughout the chamber expressed amusement in their species-specific ways, clicking, chirping, humming, and flashing various colors. Their greatest weakness, Vextal continued, is their complete inability to achieve internal harmony. They fight among themselves over resources while their planet contains abundance. They create beautiful music and literature while simultaneously destroying their own environment. They are their own greatest enemy. Claxmore's tentacles danced with excitement. We recommend continued observation for entertainment purposes. Their unpredictable behavior patterns provide excellent recreational value for our citizens. The silicon beings chimed their agreement, creating a musical cascade that filled the dome. The gaseous creatures swirled in patterns of approval, while the insectoids clicked rhythmically. Motion approved, declared Vextal. Earth shall remain classified as a comedy preserve. Continue monitoring for amusing developments. As the council session ended, and the various species departed to their respective ships and habitats, none noticed a small human probe that had been silently recording everything from behind a nearby asteroid. The device completed its data transmission to Earth and self-destructed, leaving no trace of its presence on Earth. The transmission was received by a small group of humans who had been expecting first contact to go very differently than planned. Captain Li Hoyan adjusted his formal diplomatic uniform one final time as the human ship approached Nexus Station. His heart raced with anticipation. This was the moment humanity had dreamed of for centuries. First contact with galactic civilization. He imagined grand ceremonies, exchange of knowledge, and Earth taking its place among the stars as an equal partner. The massive space station grew larger in the viewport, its gleaming surface covered with docking ports and communication arrays. Ships of incredible design floated nearby. Some looked like living creatures, others appeared to be made of pure crystal or flowing metal. Li Haiyan had never seen anything so magnificent. Docking permission granted, came the translated voice through their communications system. Please proceed to Tourist Observation Bay 7. Li Haiyan frowned. Tourist Bay. Perhaps something was lost in translation. He guided their ship toward the designated docking area, noting how different it looked from the other ports. This section seemed more isolated, with thick transparent barriers and what appeared to be viewing platforms. As the human delegation disembarked, Li Hyun immediately sensed something was wrong. Instead of diplomatic representatives waiting to greet them, crowds of alien beings pressed against energy barriers, pointing at the humans with various appendages. Some held small devices that flashed with light, clearly taking pictures. A group of small alien creatures that resembled floating jellyfish bobbed excitedly near the barrier. Their translators produced high-pitched giggling sounds. Look at how they walk on only 2 legs, one squeaked, so clumsy and primitive. Ambassador Kim Sora stepped forward, her diplomatic training keeping her expression neutral despite the growing confusion. She had prepared for many scenarios, but being displayed like zoo animals was not one of them. Park Jinwoo, the mission's military advisor, stood rigid beside her. His trained eyes quickly assessed their situation. They were contained within a transparent enclosure, separated from the aliens by energy fields. Guard posts were positioned at regular intervals, though the guards seemed more interested in crowd control than actual security. This must be some kind of misunderstanding, Kim Sora whispered to Li Haiyan. Perhaps they have unusual greeting customs. Before Li Haiyan could respond, a tall crystalline being approached the barrier. Its faceted surface caught the station's artificial light and scattered it in rainbow patterns. Unlike the excited tourists, this creature moved with obvious authority. Welcome, amusing carbon forms, the being's translator announced in a tone that dripped with condescension. I am High Arbiter Veltek of the Galactic Council. We are delighted to finally meet representatives of species number 47,891. Kim Sora stepped forward and bowed slightly. Honored Arbiter, I am Ambassador Kim Sora of Earth. We come in peace, seeking friendship and cooperation with the galactic community. Velthic's crystalline form shifted, creating patterns that somehow conveyed amusement. How wonderfully predictable. They even speak of peace while carrying weapons. The Arbiter gestured toward Park Jinwoo's ceremonial sidearm. The weapon is purely ceremonial, Kim Sora explained quickly. A symbol of our military traditions, not a threat. Of course, Veltek replied in a tone one might use with a child. We have prepared a suitable habitat preserve where your species may continue to entertain the galaxy with your delightful contradictions and primitive behaviors. You will have ample space to practice your amusing customs. The words hit the human delegation like a physical blow. Li Huyan felt his stomach drop as the true nature of their situation became clear. They were not being welcomed as equals, they were being treated as entertainment. Park Jinwoo's jaw clenched so tightly his teeth ached through the barrier. He watched alien children, or what appeared to be children, pressing their faces against the energy field and pointing at him. Their translators produced sounds that were unmistakably laughter. Arbiter, Kim Sora said carefully, I believe there has been a misunderstanding. We represent a spacefaring civilization with technology, art, science, and culture. We seek diplomatic Relations, not preservation. Veltic's form flickered with what the humans were learning to recognize as amusement. Oh, you misunderstand your situation. Little carbon swans, we have been observing your species for over 300 of your years. Your contradictory nature provides endless entertainment for our citizens. You are far too valuable as comedy to be treated as equals. The Arbiter gestured toward the crowds of aliens still taking pictures and pointing. See how much joy you bring. Your species' ability to simultaneously create beauty and destruction, to speak of unity while remaining divided, to debate whether water is wet. These things are priceless sources of amusement. Dr. Han Minho, the mission's chief scientist, spoke up. Our technology brought us here. We have achieved faster than light travel, fusion power, quantum computing copied from other species, abandoned experiments. Velthak interrupted dismissively. Your planet exists along ancient trade routes. What you call breakthrough discoveries are simply discarded prototypes left behind by more advanced civilizations. The revelation struck the humans silent. Everything they thought they had achieved independently was apparently borrowed technology. Kim Sora felt something cold settle in her chest. And if we refuse your preserve, Velthic's crystalline surface shifted to darker hues. That would be most unfortunate. Other primitive species who refused our generous offers are no longer available for comment. The human delegation exchanged glances loaded with meaning. Park Jinwoo's military training kicked in, and he began mentally cataloging everything he observed: guard positions, barrier types, crowd patterns, potential weaknesses. The meeting concluded with Velthak providing coordinates for their new preserve, a small system of planets where humans could continue being observed and studied for galactic entertainment. As their ship departed Nexus Station in tense silence, each human carried a burning sense of humiliation and growing anger. They had come seeking partnership and found themselves classified as cosmic jesters. But in that silence, something dangerous was taking root. Something that would prove the galaxy had made a terrible miscalculation about the species they had just dismissed as harmless entertainment. Dr. Choi Minji rubbed her tired eyes as she stared at the holographic display floating above her desk. The underground laboratory beneath Seoul buzzed with activity 24 hours a day. Teams of scientists worked in shifts, analyzing every piece of data the diplomatic mission had secretly collected from Nexus Station. The lab itself was hidden 300 meters below the city streets, accessible only through a series of security checkpoints that most government officials did not even know existed. President Kim had authorized the facility immediately after receiving the humiliating report from Ambassador Kim Sora. General, you need to see this, Choi Minji called out, as General Han Woo-sung entered her workspace. The military leader looked exhausted. He had been coordinating with similar secret facilities in Moscow, Washington, London, and Beijing for the past 6 months. Choi Minji gestured to the neural scan data floating in the air between them. Colorful patterns showed brain activity from different alien species the humans had observed at Nexus Station. Look at the Velthic thought patterns, she explained, pointing to a series of perfectly straight lines and geometric shapes. Their minds work like advanced computers. Every decision follows a logical sequence from point A to point B to point C. No deviation, no creativity, no surprise. Han Woo-sung leaned forward, studying the data. What does that mean for us? It means they are predictable, Choi Minji replied, switching to display data from the insectoid species. The Klaxmore are even worse. Look at these patterns, they follow predetermined behavioral programs. When situation X happens, they respond with action Y, every single time. It is like they are living machines. She pulled up another set of scans. These ones showing the gaseous nebula folk. Same story across all species we observed. They evolved in stable, peaceful environments where following patterns meant survival. They never needed to adapt quickly or think outside established rules. The display shifted to show human brain scans for comparison. The patterns were chaotic, unpredictable, with neural pathways firing in seemingly random directions. Now look at us, Choi Minji said with growing excitement. Human brains are messy, chaotic, unpredictable. We had to survive ice ages, plagues, natural disasters, and constant warfare. Our minds adapted to handle rapid change and unexpected problems. Han Woo-sung began to understand. So while we were struggling to survive on a dangerous planet, they were living in peaceful paradise. Exactly. Their technology advanced because they had stability and cooperation, but their minds became specialized and rigid. They cannot handle situations that do not fit their predetermined patterns. Dr. Park Yuna joined the conversation, carrying a tablet full of psychological analysis. "General, we have been studying their social structures too. Most alien species have not experienced warfare for thousands of years. They resolve conflicts through formal debates and established protocols. The concept of deception or surprise attacks is completely foreign to them." Han Wusung felt a cold smile spread across his face. Continue. "They expect enemies to announce their intentions, follow established rules of engagement, and fight with honor," Park Yuna explained. "The idea of pretending to be weak while secretly planning destruction is something their minds cannot process." Meanwhile, 300 kilometers away, Colonel Yoon Seok-jin stood before a group of specially selected soldiers in a remote training facility. The men and women before him represented the best of humanity's military forces, not just in strength and skill, but in adaptability and creativity. "Today we practice psychological warfare," Yoon Seok-jin announced. "The aliens see us as predictable primitives. We will use that assumption to destroy them." The training exercise began with soldiers pretending to surrender while secretly planting explosive devices. Another group practiced appearing helpless and confused while actually gathering intelligence and identifying weaknesses. "Remember," Yoon Seok-jin called out, "everything that made us look stupid to them is actually our strength. Our emotions, our unpredictability, our willingness to break rules. These are weapons they have never encountered." One soldier raised her hand. "Sir, what if they adapt to our tactics?" Yoon Seok-jin shook his head. "Their minds are not built for adaptation. It would take them thousands of years to evolve the flexibility we developed naturally. By then, it will be too late." Back in the Seoul laboratory, Choi Minji was showing Han Wusung video footage from Nexus Station. The recording showed alien guards at their posts, following the same patrol routes at exactly the same times every day. "Look at their security protocols," she pointed out. "Perfect clockwork. No variation, no random checks, no creativity in their defensive measures. They have been at peace so long they have forgotten how to be truly careful." She switched to another video showing alien civilians going about their daily activities. "And their population, they trust their leaders completely. They believe their government and military are perfect and cannot be defeated. They have no concept of preparation for disaster because they have never experienced real disaster." Han Wusung watched the footage with growing understanding. "They see us as harmless entertainment because they cannot imagine how dangerous we actually are." "Exactly," Choi Minji agreed. "They judge us by their own standards, logical, predictable, following established patterns. But we are chaos. We are adaptation. We are everything they are not." Dr. Park Yuna added, "What made us their joke is exactly what will make us their nightmare. Our contradictions, our emotional decisions, our ability to fight dirty and break rules, these are advantages they never expected." The three humans stood in silence, processing the implications. Humanity had been dismissed as cosmic entertainment, but they possessed something the galaxy had forgotten: the ability to survive, adapt, and overcome through sheer determination and creative thinking. The joke was about to be on them. Commander Nam Taeyong sat quietly in his captain's chair as his ship drifted toward the massive Velthak mining station. The crystalline aliens had been extracting rare minerals from the asteroid field for over 2 centuries, their operation running with perfect mechanical precision. "Broadcasting surrender signal as planned," reported his communications officer. The message being sent was simple and pathetic: a small human vessel requesting mercy and asking to be taken to the entertainment preserve. Nam Taeyong watched the mining station grow larger on his screen. The Veltak had responded exactly as expected, granting permission for the humans to dock and be processed. Their predictable nature was about to become their downfall. "Cargo bay teams, prepare for deployment," he whispered into his headset. Hidden in containers marked as primitive human entertainment devices and cultural artifacts, 30 of humanity's most dangerous soldiers waited in silence. The Veltak docking procedure was flawless, as always. Automated systems guided the human ship into the station's belly while crystalline beings prepared to receive another group of amusing carbon forms for their cosmic zoo. Station Commander Velmorth approached the docking bay with the casual confidence of someone who had processed thousands of primitive species. The humans would be catalogued, their crude possessions examined for entertainment value, and then shipped off to the preserve like all the others. "Welcome, carbon forms," Velmorth announced as the human ship's doors opened. "Please exit your vessel for processing." Nam Taeyong stepped out first, his hands raised in apparent surrender. Behind him came what appeared to be a defeated crew carrying simple cargo containers. The Velthak guards barely glanced at the containers. What could primitive humans possibly be hiding? We wish to surrender to the superior galactic civilization, Nam Taeyong said in a voice that trembled with manufactured fear. We bring offerings of our primitive culture as tribute. Velmoth's crystalline form flickered with amusement. These humans were even more pathetic than the reports suggested. Your cooperation is noted. Place your cultural artifacts in the scanning area for examination. The humans carefully placed their containers on the designated platform. The Velthic scanning systems analyzed the contents and found exactly what they expected. Crude musical instruments, primitive artwork, and simple electronic devices that posed no threat to advanced technology. What the scanners did not detect were the 30 soldiers hidden in specially designed compartments that mimicked the density and composition of human cultural items. Years of studying alien technology had taught humanity exactly how to fool their senses. Processing complete, announced the scanning system. Contents classified as harmless, primitive artifacts. Velmoth gestured for the humans to be escorted. 2 holding cells while their possessions were transported to the cultural analysis section. Everything was proceeding according to standard protocol. That was when the first explosion rocked the station. The containers had been programmed to open after a specific time delay, releasing the hidden assault teams throughout the facility. But these were not the uniformed soldiers the Veltak might have expected. The humans wore civilian clothes and carried weapons that looked like modified tools and entertainment devices. Sergeant Lee Inho emerged from his hiding place in what appeared to be a large musical instrument case. Around him, other soldiers unfolded from containers that had seemed to hold nothing but primitive human junk. Their weapons were crude by galactic standards, but perfectly effective against beings who had not faced combat in millennia. Guards reacted with confusion rather than tactical response. Their programming had no procedures for dealing with deceptive tactics or surprise attacks. They sent standard warning messages and followed established protocols while humans moved through the station like ghosts. Security breach in Sector 7, came the automated announcement. Please proceed to designated safe areas in an orderly fashion. But the humans were not following any orderly pattern. They moved unpredictably, using service tunnels and maintenance shafts that the Velthok had never considered as security risks. Their primitive equipment was invisible to sensors calibrated for advanced technology. Nam Taeyong had shed his submissive act and was now coordinating the assault with military precision. Team Alpha, secure the communication array. Team Beta, take the power distribution center. Remember, we want prisoners, not casualties. The Velthic tried to respond with their standard security measures, but every protocol failed. Their energy barriers were designed to stop advanced weapons, not crude explosives. Their security systems looked for sophisticated threats, not humans crawling through air vents with modified mining tools. Within 3 hours, the mining station was under human control. The crystalline beings found themselves prisoners in their own facility, completely unable to understand how primitive carbon forms had defeated their advanced technology. Similar scenes played out across 2 other installations that day. Captain Odeho's team had infiltrated a Claxmore research facility by pretending to be a damaged cargo ship full of human specimens. The insectoid aliens had been so eager to study primitive human behavior that they had brought the humans directly into their most secure laboratory. The third strike hit a Nebula folk communication relay. Lieutenant Park Sujin's team had approached, claiming to be lost human tourists who needed directions to the preserve. The gaseous aliens had found the human confusion so entertaining that they had invited them aboard to record their primitive navigation attempts. Captain Odeho's voice crackled across the captured communication systems, broadcasting to the entire sector. You wanted to see primitive humans. We will show you what primitives do to survive. The message spread through galactic communication networks like wildfire. The species that had been classified as harmless entertainment had somehow captured 3 major installations using tactics that violated every established rule of civilized warfare. Emergency councils convened across the galaxy as the news spread. The joke species had done something unprecedented. They had turned their apparent weaknesses into weapons and their primitive nature into an advantage. For the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy had something to fear. 2 years had passed since the Great Awakening, as historians would later call it. The galaxy looked very different now. Where once there had been thousands of proud alien civilizations, now there were far fewer. Many had simply vanished overnight. their worlds suddenly sporting new human colonies and very cooperative former leaders who spoke glowingly about the benefits of voluntary integration. Ambassador Kim Sora walked through the corridors of the Galactic Council Station. Her footsteps echoed in halls that used to buzz with activity. Now they were mostly empty. The few aliens she passed pressed themselves against the walls, their various appendages trembling as she smiled and nodded politely. She had learned that human smiles translated very poorly across species. Most aliens saw them as displays of predatory intent. Kim Sora had stopped trying to correct this misunderstanding. The council chamber itself was a shadow of its former glory. Where once hundreds of delegates had gathered to mock and laugh at humanity, now barely 50 remained. Many seats bore small memorial plaques reading "Relocated for cultural exchange" or "Pursuing new opportunities in human space." High Arbiter Velthak stood at the central podium, his crystalline body flickering with nervous energy. Kim Sora remembered when that same crystal had glowed with arrogant amusement. Now it pulsed with barely contained terror. Ambassador Kim Velthak began, his voice translator struggling with what sounded like panic. "We have called this emergency session to discuss accommodation." Kim Sora took her place at the human delegation table. She was alone, another psychological touch that had proven remarkably effective. One human facing down the remnants of galactic civilization. "Accommodation," she repeated, tasting the word. "An interesting choice of terms. High Arbiter, I believe 2 years ago you used different words. Something about cosmic jokes and entertainment value." A ripple of fear passed through the assembled delegates. Many species communicated through color changes, chemical releases, or electromagnetic pulses. The emotional cocktail in the chamber was overwhelming to regret and desperate hope mixing into something that made Kim Sora's enhanced senses tingle. We made errors in judgment," Velthak admitted. "Perhaps we underestimated human potential." Kim Sora laughed a sound that now made 3 different species evacuate their bowels simultaneously. "Potential? Oh, High Arbiter, you still don't understand. You didn't underestimate our potential. You made us realize it ourselves." She stood and activated the chamber's holographic display system. Images filled the air above them, human settlements on thousands of worlds, bustling trade networks, and testimonials from alien leaders praising their new human partners. "Look at what we've accomplished together," Kim Sora said, gesturing to a particular image of a Zephyrian mining colony that was producing resources at 10 times its previous rate. "The Zephyrians have never been more productive, they tell me. They've never been happier." What the hologram didn't show were the surveillance networks, the behavioral modification programs, or the fact that happiness had become mandatory on all human-administered worlds. "The Trilaxians have embraced human agricultural methods with such enthusiasm," Kim Sora continued, switching to another image. "Their food production has tripled." The hidden truth was that the Trilaxians had been given a simple choice: adopt human farming techniques or face the same unfortunate accident that had befallen their neighboring system's entire leadership. "Structure, we're not conquerors," Kim Sora said, her voice warm and friendly. "We're teachers. We're showing the galaxy what cooperation really means." A small delegate from the Whisper Collective finally found the courage to speak. What do you want from us?" Kim Sora's smile widened. "Want? We don't want anything. We're offering gifts, educational opportunities, the chance to learn from humanity's unique perspective on problem solving." She touched her tablet, and the display changed to show construction sites across the galaxy. "We're building schools on every world we visit, cultural exchange centers, communication hubs. Everyone will have the opportunity to learn human methods." The delegates didn't need translation software to understand what they were seeing. The schools were obviously prison complexes. The cultural exchange centers were clearly interrogation facilities. The communication hubs were surveillance networks that could monitor every conversation on a planet. Surely Velthak tried one last time. Surely there must be some arrangement we can reach, some way to coexist without further educational programs. Kim Sora appeared to consider this seriously. She walked closer to the High Arbiter's podium, and he instinctively backed away. "You know," she said thoughtfully, 2 years ago I might have agreed with you, but you taught us something important that day. You showed us that the universe operates on a very simple principle: the strong take what they want, and the weak provide entertainment." She turned to address the full chamber. "You laughed at us because you thought we were weak. You found our struggles amusing, our failures entertaining, our hopes ridiculous." The silence in the chamber was absolute. "So thank you," Kim Sora concluded. "Thank you for teaching us that compassion is weakness. But mercy is foolishness. That the only rule that matters is strength. She gathered her materials and headed toward the exit. The educational programs will begin next month. Attendance is mandatory. Graduation requirements will be provided to your local human coordinators. As she reached the door, Sora paused and looked back one final time. Welcome to the punchline.